The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the low-frequency communications of a dozen alien species. Ambassador Zethkar of the Vorthak Empire towered over the crystalline podium, his four arms gesticulating with theatrical precision as he delivered what he believed to be the killing blow to humanity's petition for membership. "Look at them," Zethkar's translator crackled, his voice dripping with disdain. "No natural weapons, no armor plating, no venom sacs or energy projection organs. They can't even survive in their own atmosphere without artificial heating and cooling." The 8-foot reptilian gestured dismissively toward the human delegation. "What possible contribution could such fragile creatures make to our alliance?" The chamber erupted in agreement. The insectoid Kretak clicked their mandibles in amusement, while the gaseous ethereals pulsed with colors that clearly indicated mockery. Even the usually diplomatic Centaurians, with their horse-like lower bodies, stamped their hooves in what passed for polite laughter among their kind. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the sole human representative, sat quietly in her assigned seat, a chair, that had been specially constructed to accommodate her primitive bipedal form, as the council had so graciously put it. She was small by galactic standards, barely reaching 5.5 feet, with graying hair and wrinkles that spoke of a life spent in research rather than combat. To the assembled representatives, she looked exactly like what Zethkar claimed: weak, fragile, insignificant. "Furthermore," Zethkar continued, warming to his theme, "their homeworld is a Class 3 death world, nothing but a backwater planet plagued by extreme weather, geological instability, and an atmosphere so corrosive it would kill most civilized species within minutes. That they managed to achieve spaceflight from such a hostile environment speaks more to luck than capability." More agreement rippled through the chamber. The Council had reviewed Earth's specifications with horror. Tectonic plates that shifted without warning, hurricanes that could level cities, temperature variations that swung from boiling to freezing, and an atmosphere containing the highly reactive gas oxygen, which most species considered a dangerous industrial chemical. Finally, the presiding arbiter, an ancient being whose species had transcended physical form millennia ago, spoke in harmonics that bypassed the need for translation. "The human delegation will now present their case for membership. Dr. Vasquez, you have the floor." Elena stood slowly, her movements deliberate and calm. She walked to the podium with none of the dramatic flair that the other species employed. When she spoke, her voice was quiet, almost conversational, so different from the booming oratory the council was accustomed to. "Thank you, presiding arbiter. Honored delegates." She paused, scanning the chamber with eyes that seemed to take in every detail. "Ambassador Zethkar is correct about many things. We humans are, by your standards, physically weak. We have no natural weapons, no armor, no ability to photosynthesize or manipulate energy fields. We are, as he noted, quite fragile." "Satisfied." Murmurs echoed through the chamber. At least the human was realistic about her species' limitations. "But," Elena continued, her voice gaining strength, "I think there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about what strength means." She gestured to a small device she'd placed on the podium. "This contains our species' history. 6,000 years of recorded civilization and much more that we've pieced together from archaeological evidence. Would you like to know what that history consists of, honored delegates?" Without waiting for an answer, she pressed a control, and holographic images began to materialize above the chamber. "War," she said simply. "Not the occasional territorial dispute or resource conflict that most species experience before achieving. Spaceflight. Constant, brutal, devastating war. For 6 millennia, we have fought each other with an intensity that would horrify you. We've fought over land, over resources, over ideas, over the color of our skin, over which invisible beings we choose to worship. The images showed battles across human history, from ancient warriors with bronze weapons to mechanized armies clashing across muddy battlefields to nuclear weapons that could glass entire continents. We've created weapons specifically designed to cause maximum suffering. We've poisoned the air, contaminated the water, and set fire to our own forests just to deny them to our enemies. We've committed genocides, enslaved entire populations, and developed hundreds of different ways to kill each other efficiently. The chamber had grown uncomfortably quiet. The Kretak had stopped clicking, and even the ethereals had settled into neutral, uncertain colors. By the time we achieved nuclear weapons, Elena continued, we had the capability to render our entire planet uninhabitable. And you know what we did? We built more of them. Thousands more. We pointed them at each other. For decades, knowing that their use would mean the end of our civilization, possibly our species. Zethkar shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't the desperate plea for acceptance he'd expected. But here's what I find fascinating, Elena said, her voice now carrying to every corner of the silent chamber. Despite all of this, despite 6,000 years of warfare, despite our fragility, despite living on a world that actively tries to kill us, we're still here. Not only are we still here, we've thrived. The holographic display shifted to show human cities, art, music, literature, scientific achievements. We've written poetry while our cities burned around us. We've composed symphonies in the middle of plagues that killed millions. We've built hospitals to heal our enemies and schools to educate their children. We've fed the hungry, housed the homeless, and yes, we've eventually learned to work together. Elena paused, looking directly at Zethkar. You see weakness in our lack of natural weapons. I see the most dangerous species in the galaxy, because we've had to become our own weapons. We've had to become our own armor. We've had to learn not just to survive, but to excel in an environment that would break most species before they achieved sentience. She gestured to herself. You look at me and see a fragile old woman. Do you know what I see when I look at myself? I see the descendant of survivors. My ancestors survived ice ages that would have frozen your homeworld solid. They survived plagues that killed half their population. They survived wars that raged for decades. They survived because they learned to adapt, to overcome, to never give up. The chamber remained perfectly silent. Every human in existence today carries the genetic legacy of survivors. We are the children of those who refused to die, who looked at impossible odds and found a way through. You call us weak because we lack claws and fangs. We call ourselves strong because we learned to make tools that surpass any natural weapon. You call us fragile because we need environmental suits on your worlds. We call ourselves adaptable because we've learned to thrive anywhere. Elena smiled, and for the first time, several of the delegates noticed something unsettling in that expression. And now we've moved beyond our world, beyond our conflicts with each other. Now we're looking outward, to the stars, to new challenges, to new problems that need solving. And if there's one thing humans excel at, honored delegates, it's solving problems that seem impossible. She turned off the display and stepped back from the podium. You can deny us membership if you choose. That's your right. But understand this. We didn't come here because we need you. We came here because we thought you might need us. Because someday, maybe not today, Maybe not tomorrow, but someday, you're going to face a problem that seems impossible, a threat that can't be reasoned with, negotiated with, or bought off. And when that day comes, you're going to want the species that spent 6,000 years learning how to win impossible wars, fighting beside you, not against you. The silence stretched for long moments. Finally, the presiding arbiter spoke. The council will recess to consider this perspective. As the delegates filed out, Elena gathered her materials calmly. She'd said what needed to be said. Whether they listened or not was up to them. Behind her, Zethkar stared at the empty holographic space where images of human warfare had played. For the first time in his diplomatic career, he found himself wondering if his own species was strong enough to survive as neighbors to humanity. The humans, he realized, hadn't been asking for protection. They'd been offering it.